I think people are really eager to see some gameplay. Let's take a look. Let's see how this game's looking currently on Xbox One.
Spartan down.
Sam, clearly we're looking at a little Slayer match here on Bazaar, one of our new maps. There's a lot to take in, I'm sure, for viewers who are just seeing a lot of stuff for the first time here.
Yeah, I can't remember if we've shown things like the Pulse Carbine being used in first person. I think it was briefly shown in the multiplayer trailer, and I think this is the first time we've shown first person view of someone walking around in Bazaar.
I think it has. We're also right now kind of getting a look at the friend and foe system that we've discussed in some of our blogs in the past. This is kind of moving away from forcing players into red and blue, allows us to kind of maintain that unique armor customization that's become a greater focal point for Halo Infinite.
Yeah, and I think this is a pretty good example of that, and I think you're really seeing those colors pop out on the Xbox One hardware. It's great.
I think I just noticed a custom skin applied to that AR there that we saw briefly.
I missed it, unfortunately. I do love the... Oh, yeah. I love the AR skins. It's kind of nice being able to customize your starting weapon. It's the one you're going to see most often, so I like to have mine looking sharp.
Now, internally, from a development and playtest perspective, I mean, obviously we've got the teams focusing on all platforms and all builds, and it's safe to say that we've got folks truly getting sweaty on Durango, on Xbox Series X and S, and low, medium, and high PC specs as well, right?
Yeah, so obviously, as I said before, we can't cover every PC spec out there, but we try to have a good range within our testing, and we have folks playing on Xbox Ones regularly, myself included. I try and playtest on Xbox One as much as possible, because it's a really important thing for us to support and make sure it's looking good.
Yeah, it really is awesome that we're able to kind of bring that audience forward with us, right? I mean, we know there's obviously a large amount of Xbox One players out there, especially as, you know, frankly, some people I think are still eager to acquire a new console, and with some of the supply chain issues that have come around during the pandemic, not necessarily easy for everyone. So, you know, thankfully I'm not one of the engineers. I can't imagine it's necessarily a trivial undertaking to be able to scale so smartly across different hardware, but I gotta say, shaping up super nice, and really looking forward to getting some feedback from Xbox One players after this weekend.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I think that's gonna wrap up that clip that we have. Now we're gonna show a little more gameplay here in a bit. We're gonna have Tom French, our multiplayer associate creative director, join us. We have another match from Xbox Series X that we're going to get into. But once this wraps up, we're going to jump back over to the build, and we're going to look through this real flight build here. By the way, I heard you're a real Needler fan. Is that true? I think there is a cool, not only is this a learning module in a lot of ways, but there is a competitive angle to it. And, you know, I think safe to say down the road, the team's thinking about possibility of things like leaderboards and kind of how do we really bring that gamification competitive element to this.
Yeah, that was something that we really wanted in the core design, and just, you know, it just didn't fit into the schedule. So we're just building this kind of as a platform for how we can add more over time.
Okay, here we go. Right. Not doing good. By the way, that's something our fans noticed right there. We have damage per sort of location-specific visual indicators on damage, right?
Yeah, it's really helpful, right? It really helps just that pop where you're hitting.
Look at that! I choked right there. Now, are you a feather the trigger person with this weapon, or do you just sort of pray and spray?
I'll just be honest, I'm hot garbage with this gun. That's first and foremost my problem. I'm trying to get better with it. I kind of use it as like an automatic, but when I'm kind of at range, I'll switch to kind of the feathering.
Oh no!
Oh man, that pillar got in your way.
That was not a great performance.
Terrible.
2-star. I mean,
terrible.
I think there is a bonus for like a quick reaction, right? Like if I were to quickly zoom in on the target right when it appears, I think I might get an extra.
I think there's extra little bonus points and little twists around it. So
all right, I want to put you on the spot now. Okay. We're going to switch over to your point of view. So So first of all, going for the controller, right? Because we support mouse and keyboard or controller. Doesn't matter.
I'm a controller guy.
Whatever suits your fancy. Tom, I am hearing from our friends over here in the room that it sounds like chat is unsurprisingly very interested in seeing the BR.
You know, I think that's expected. Let's bring up the BR then. Let's see how. I mean, I'm okay with
I do
this.
like where you're going with the more exotic weapons, though. So maybe we just kind of break the rules and squeeze in a third game.
We'll squeeze in another
okay.
one. I'll try to go the third tier so people can see kind of the different behaviors. And so you see there were kind of more bouncing targets in what you were doing. So you'll see this. They should take a little more cover and stuff. But yeah, obviously a fan favorite weapon. I'm really nervous how well I'm going to score. Let's see.
Well, at least we're picking different weapons, so we're not really like we can't really compare each other against each other, right? So
Yeah, people are already making fun of me in the stream. I can see it, or imagine at least. I'm really terrible about managing my reloads. I'm like an incessant reloader.
Yep.
See there, I probably shouldn't have reloaded right there.
well, it's when we're missing shots like you and I do, it makes it a little hard to be predictable on that reload.
I know.
too,
I
right?
really feel like it's part of my job to get better at this, and I'm trying, and I am getting better. I'm a little more better at like BTB is kind of my brag. But you can see they're kind of dancing around a little bit. They're strafing more. They're not just bounce patterns. I'm hitting headshots at least.
Yeah. You almost got this.
Crap reload.
Time's up. I think that's a pretty good score. Well, it's a new high score compared to whoever else played on this build.
I think nobody. So all right.
Yeah.
So I hit tier 2. So rank 2. So yeah. So you can see like we're trying to kind of give you some grading so you can understand your skill level and like how you can get better, or a little bit like kind of encouraging you to get better, so you can understand where you're meeting.
All right. I think we're getting the request. Let's maybe take at least one more. You want to play one more since you're already in? Why don't you do it? I'll put you on the spot.
I'll do it.
So I'm hearing that there's a lot of interest in the heat wave. This is I don't think we've really seen or shown this really to date. So this is obviously new and exciting. A little bit unconventional, right? A little bit different.
Yeah, it's different. I mean, it has an alt fire, which is cool. It's something that's kind of new to Halo. I know Quinn and his team was really proud of that. And kind of how do we introducing this kind of concept into the game, and how can we use this kind of more in the game. This weapon's really fun, and the two alt modes, or the two modes, are basically vertical and horizontal fire. I can't remember how this drill performs, so see, one of the things cool about the drills is they're trying to do behaviors that actually encourage you to use the weapon correctly. So like these two were bouncing near each other, and so you can get a more optimal like kind of horizontal shot.
Yeah, and I know folks notice it's pretty nuanced there, but I think you're using your left trigger to sort of swap between those two different
the
fire
two modes,
right?
Okay.
Yep.
All right, get together, boys. Thank you.
And this will penetrate, right? So you can line guys up and just take them all.
Oh,
Very cool.
Last shot sucked. There we go. Oh. I'm definitely not managing my reload. I feel like I have more time in the game, right? Like when you're in a match, you like hide behind cover, but this is definitely that like kind of stressful, which is in a good way. Like it helps you get better by, going through the repetitions and the drills.
Well, the world watching doesn't probably help.
Yeah, it
either.
doesn't help. I think I'm more nervous about you just giving me shit after. Oops.
We're fine. That's all right. We ran the ESRB up front.
thank
We're
you.
good.
Oh, that's
We're good.
good.
We said
I can't help it.
Content may not be suitable for all audiences. Look at you, man. You're sandbagging us here. 3-star when you're ready.
Slay them all, Spartan.
All right, yeah. I think this is a protein POV.
Well, let's see how good they are. Right off the bat, going for
so
the
he's
heat
got
wave.
the heat wave, right?
Yep.
So he switched the vert. There's
Steitzer.
Stites. It's good to have Steitzer back, or we call it. There's some nickname of Stitesy is kind of the people implementing the VO. So he threw down a shield, covered the position.
Yeah, I like that little peek technique. I haven't personally done that, to be honest.
Yeah, I feel like I learned a lot by watching this protein video actually and how to play it. Like we watch them, we have regular weekly play tests with them. I don't play with them generally because they're so good, and we put our kind of better players up against them.
Also noticed that player went straight for the power weapon that spawns on this map in Slayer, which is hard for me to use, if I'm being honest.
So you'll see, so you can see the friend foe. That's one of the obvious things you're looking at here. I know Sam was talking about it earlier. This is something that we've continued to kind of iterate and evolve, even beyond this build. I think this might be our main build right now. This power weapon spawns there.
Skewer is it's satisfying as heck, but it's hard for me to use.
I am worse at that gun than I am with the commando rifle for sure. When you hit a target, like especially a vehicle, it's super satisfying. All right, so he was spectating. He missed the nuke.
Tried for it.
Tried for it.
Grenade. Successful.
hard for us to hear in studio, but I believe you'll hear some personal AI coming through.
Yeah, you're hearing. There's a few things. So there's the Spartan chatter that we had in Halo 5. It really just kind of brings the battlefield, gives a lot more like reaction feedback to what's going on in the game. But you'll hear this personal AI, and what we did with them is we replaced what was called Spartan Leader, our team leader. And it's just a more personal version of that, and they have a lot of personality, and so it lets you kind of swap around and kind of customize that feedback, and they give you a lot of low-level fit. Pulled the power up.
Obtain.
Yeah, I was just going to mention, you know, that's a change, right? It doesn't activate on pickup anymore. You can hold on to it.
Yeah, we think that'll bring a lot in the long term and allow us to do more things with power-ups than kind of just, you know, traditional kind of just quick stat kind of reflections, but having like really the notion of power equipment in the game.
One thing that we won't see in this point of view, I really love the visual language that you and the team have introduced. It's very obvious when someone's pocketing a power-up like that. You'll see a glowing trail
Yeah, there's
behind
like a
them.
contrail behind them. Yeah, that was a big thing, is making sure we at least telegraphed that information. That was, you know, making that switch. There was a lot of critical lenses on making sure that there was at least a readability to it in the gameplay.
I mean, so now it's sort of that risk-reward, right? Do I hold this and wait for that final push? Do I burn it now so I don't lose it?
Yeah, you make a lot of choices that way. Like I sometimes will pocket it and think I'm getting cocky, and then I'll lose it, and I'll give like overshow. That was a dope. I'll give the OS to the enemy, which is, you know, super risky at that point.
We're seeing a couple of little sort of, what do we call those, tutorial tips popping up there, which
Yeah.
you can turn off in the settings.
Yeah, you can
right?
turn them off, but on they're death tips is what we call them. But yeah, giving you a little bit of feedback, you know, about the type of weapon that killed you, or like how you can respond better to it.
I'm not sure at this point the pro team needs to know that, like, hey,
Yeah, exactly. Or like just opt out if you don't really care about it, if you don't need that information, or it makes you feel bad, as some people might feel.
In my sights.
I do love this map.
Yeah, the pelicans flying by. It's it's an homage to Sergeant Avery Johnson, Academy of. So it's kind of cool just to kind of pay homage to, like, you know, one of ours and everybody's favorite character in the side of the Halo canon.
By the way, whoever this player is just getting active camo every spawn. I don't know what the other team's up to right now.
Seems to be watching that call out. Yeah, the power ups, we treat those like, you know, like the power weapons and stuff. They're up on a pad. They have a lot of messaging and broadcasting about them, so you know when they're coming up.
Now your Spartan AI will tell you that, right?
Yeah, the Spartan AI calls it out as well. So there's a lot of information just kind of driving feedback. You get the stick there. You can see like there's the weapon racks you'll see in the levels as well. He ran past one a second ago.
Yeah, right
Yeah,
back
it's in
there
the background, right?
Yep.
What's cool about them is, like, you know, before you might run past where a weapon would spawn and then not realize that it's coming up in 2 seconds, and it could change your choice and like how you deal with it. Like when we playtest this morning, I actually stopped at one point on a weapon rack because I was like, oh, it's like 2 seconds out. I might as well wait for it and switch out my pistol, which I think I'm just telling everybody that I'm really bad with a lot of the guns in our game.
Watch my back.
That was a nice.
I do love the sidekick.
It's really cool, and like when somebody's really good with it, it's really threatening because they can just feather that thing super fast and just crack
This
people.
player really likes this little like drop wall kind of
Covering a
technique,
post,
huh?
yeah. And, like kind of locking down an entryway so they can watch their backs. It's neat to watch how people use these, like all the different equipments in different ways.
Spike. Obtained.
Well, hopefully a lot of players this weekend are going to be lighting us up on social, sharing clips with us, because I can't wait to see just some of the new creative ways that the community at large figures out how to use this new sandbox.
Yeah, and it's interesting too, like, I mean, like the way we have our maps tuned, like in our main builds, is they have different equipment and stuff on them, and because we don't have the entire sandbox in the flights, is we swap things out. So it's actually not even the same kind of basically map placement path that we would have in the released version of the game. But we, you know, it just at least gives us something so we can get something in there for people to play with. Oh, match is getting close. You can hear the music starting to kick up, kind of signifying the end of the match is coming.
I do love that. The multiplayer music, very cool.
I'm really proud of the multiplayer music. There's a cool story about how we got to basically getting the music in the game. But it really meets this tone. It's something I've really wanted since Halo 4. was this kind of post-rock soundtrack to the multiplayer. Well, actually just a Halo, but it became one of my goals for multiplayer.
Take your damage. Tag one.
Last kill.
Lost a teammate.
5 minutes remaining.
Cool.
In my sights.
Victory.
He's got some drama.
It
Oh,
is.
I got
There
it.
we
Somebody
go.
else got it.
There we go.